Hello and welcome to the Quincy Access Television studios. I'm Mark Crosby. Thank you for joining us for In the Know. This particular program is going to look at the upcoming preliminary election in the city. Joining me, as in election shows from the past, is the city clerk, of course, Nicole Crispo. Nicole, welcome back.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me.
Oh, sure. You're welcome anytime. And I know you do often take up the invitation to come in here and inform the folks at home.
Of course.
And with that said, we do have an election coming up.
We do. We have an election Tuesday, September 10th is our citywide preliminary.
And a preliminary, just explain a preliminary. It's meant to basically narrow the field of candidates.
It is. It's meant to narrow. So we do have a Ward 1 race and a race for mayor. So there's 3 candidates in each of those, the mayor, and he has 2 people challenging him, Brenda Ryan and Tracy Dorgan, and then incumbent Dave McCarthy, and he has 2 challengers, Danielle Kemp and Joseph Murphy.
Talk about the day of election and the polling hours, because that's very important.
Of course.
The polls are open to really accommodate everybody.
They certainly are. They're open from 7 a.m. till 8 p.m., and that is on a Tuesday this year. And we will be there open throughout the whole city. There are no changes to our polling locations.
Well, it's good you mentioned that, because I did go to the City of Quincy website, and there are multiple pages. I will hold this up. This is a list of the polling locations. It's laid out quite nicely. Folks could certainly access the website, and that is QATV. I'm sorry, that is the City of Quincy website we want to talk about. That's quincyma.gov. And they can go from that to the election page?
They can go to the city clerk's page, and then on the left they'll find elections and all the information they need. They can actually go from there and link right on to the Secretary of State's website, and that will bring up their polling location and their voter status.
And that's important because folks may not be sure if they are registered to vote. And we should note that it is, if you haven't registered to vote yet for this election, it's too late. It
is too late. The last day to register for this election was August 21st. So that we can prepare for the election. So right now the state requires that we have 20 days from the date of the election to get ready for the elections.
So with that said, let's say someone isn't registered, somehow missed the deadline. They do, of course, have time to register for the November final election.
They do. So the last day to register for the final election is October 16th. You can come in any day of the week, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30 in our office and register to vote. And we always encourage people to do that. We do mail them out. You can also get a voter registration online.
And just, again, your location recently hasn't changed, but it was in flux for some time. So just to let people know how they can reach you, where they need to go.
Yes, so we're on the second floor of 1305 Hancock Street in the glass building, and we have a full election department there, staff there to help. Again, 8:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday.
You do have a lot of printed material in front of you.
I do.
Talk about that. There is the call of the election.
Yes.
I guess we'll start with that.
Sure.
It is worthy to note that is printed, as well as other important information in other languages.
Yes, so I have the City of Quincy call of election, preliminary election, which will be held Tuesday, September 10th, 2019, and we are voting for mayor and councilor for Ward 1. And attached here are all the polling locations in our city. And again, tells us that the polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. These are distributed throughout the city. You'll find them at your dry cleaners. You'll find them at the Quincy Credit Union, a couple of other banks in the city. We'll give you some copies for your website. They're at the Quincy Sun. We'll print them in the Ledger, in the Chinese newspaper, and in the Quincy Sun as well. And so we do this in 3 languages. We do it in English, Chinese, and Vietnamese.
And we should talk about absentee ballots
Yes.
and what the requirements are for an absentee and also the process.
Okay, so you can come in and get a absentee ballot if you are not going to be in the city on election day, or due to religious beliefs, or you are in the hospital within 5 days of the election.
Okay.
You can get an absentee ballot. So it's a quick and simple application here, broken down. And if you can just fill that out, you can email it. You can
You can maybe move that closer to you.
To me?
Or, yeah, just
Yep,
so the
sure.
camera can grab
Sure.
that. Okay,
Yep.
great. Thank you.
So fill out the application, and you can even have a family member fill out the application if you're unable to. And we mail out the absentee ballots every day. So as soon as we get them in, we mail them out.
You and I spoke about this. Just to clarify, there is no early voting.
There is no early voting right now for the city elections. So that's for the November election as well. There will be early voting for March for the presidential primary. But as of right now, there is something in the council, but it has not passed yet to have early voting for citywide elections.
So stay tuned.
Yes, stay tuned.
Talk about the voting systems. The systems that are in place currently are the systems that will be used in September and November.
They are. So we do use, we have a vendor, LHS. We use AccuVote voting machines. They are certified through the Secretary of State's office. They're wonderful. They're new. They've been all maintained and tested, and they're ready to go.
And there is a marking device at each polling location. Just explain what that is.
Yes, so those are for the handicap accessibility folks, and we have them ready and available. It is a marking device, and then you take your ballot over to the AccuVote machine and put it in there, and that's where it is tallied. So the only thing the AccuVote the AutoMark does is mark the ballot, but it is very, very accessible, and it's at every polling place, and we encourage folks to use it.
I do. Your predecessor, we always began the program, I believe, Joe Shea, of course, who now is a county commissioner. We always began the program with a statistic. So I'm going to ask you the number of registered voters currently in the city.
So we have just over 52,000 registered voters in the city right now, and we're hoping that number goes up for November, and of course for next year's presidential races. I'm sure it'll be going up to, I'm hoping to hit 60,000.
I guess so folks have a sense of what's involved in an election preparation. We are recording this program on August 28th, so from this point on, what's the process? You meet obviously with poll workers as it gets closer, with wardens. What have you done so far? What still needs to be done?
So we are meeting with our wardens wardens and clerks next Thursday night. We go over the whole election from, opening up in the morning till closing at night. Very important. We have new poll workers come in all the time, and we just encourage them to make everybody feel at home, give everybody tasks for the day, and a lot of them rotate the tasks throughout the day, so no one's in one job for too long, because it is a long day, and we realize that, and that has been very helpful. And for this election here, we will just do the wardens and clerks, but later on in the year, we will have everybody in for, there's probably 370 poll workers that we have throughout the city.
Is that a good number?
It is. It's a great number. We encourage people to come and work at the polls. You know, we have a little application in our office, just more contact information style, and we encourage people to come, and we do pay. And so people sometimes think you don't get paid to be a poll worker, but we do pay, and again, it is a long day, but we encourage interpreters. We like to see that, and we have many throughout the city, but can always use more.
Because we have such a diverse city, certainly there is a need.
Yes, of course, of course. So we probably have, you know, 15 to 20 bilingual poll workers, but we're always encouraging more.
Talk about the day of the election and what, how that lays out. In other words, numbers, the polls do close at 8 o'clock. If you are in line at 8, you haven't made it to the door yet, you still will be able to vote.
You will. So we would never shut the door on anybody. We encourage the warden to look outside, make sure that there's no one running up to the door, and if there is, of course, we let them in to vote. And we start our day at 7 a.m. and work straight through, no breaks. Well, of course, the poll workers get breaks, but
You might not get any poll workers if you say that.
of course, the poll workers get breaks, but we do not close for lunch or dinner. And this here is the ballot. I did bring an absentee ballot with me. So this is what the ballot will look like for wards 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, with just the mayor's race on there. And then for Ward 1, we do have the mayor and city councilor for Ward 1.
Very good. I do want to talk about the results, when they come in, how they come in, and when the official results get reported, and what are unofficial results.
So at 8 o'clock, the polls do close, and we run reports from that AccuVote machine that you put your ballot through. That has a disk inside that carries all the data. That data then comes back to City Hall with the warden at the end of the night and the police officer, and gets tabulated at City Hall after 8 p.m. And then we get that number, you know, somewhere between 8 and 10 usually, and we give an unofficial number, because the unofficial number is because there are some write-ins that go into a separate bin, and we tally at the end of the night. So for that, we release the unofficial results, and then the next day release the official results as the write-ins are tabulated.
So what would you suggest? I'm just trying to think of folks getting to the poll. If they have difficulty getting to the poll, would that be a reason to vote absentee?
Absolutely. Yes, we encourage, you know, people to vote that way,
So-
to vote by mail. And
Difficulty with mobility, I'm thinking.
certainly, any difficulty at all getting to the polls, vote absentee. And we do offer, we do go out to the healthcare facilities, and Amanda in my office and an official poll worker go out, and they do a wonderful job of going out to our healthcare facilities throughout the city and making sure that all the residents there have the opportunity to vote if they can't get out.
As we close this particular program, a number that folks could get in touch with the election office should they have any questions.
Certainly. 617-376-1142, 43, and 44 are the direct lines into the election department.
I want to thank you for stopping by and talking about the upcoming election, which is, of course, the preliminary election, and that's happening on Tuesday, September 10th. The polls open at 7 a.m. They close at 8 p.m. And I will note that Quincy Access Television will report the unofficial results as they do come in once the polls have been closed. So Thank you once again.
Thank you, and I encourage everybody to come out and vote. It is an important election, and just be mindful of Tuesday, November 5th for the final election as well.
Very good, and we will have you back in. But before then, we will touch base on the preliminary election night as well.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you at home for watching. You have been watching a program of Quincy Access Television. Please continue to watch QATV for more locally produced programming.